Thanks, Maddie. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Channing Unitarian Universalist Church. We're glad that you joined us for worship today. Whoever you are, whatever your theological, spiritual, political, sexual, or racial orientation or gender identity, you are welcome to worship here and become a part of this community. Do we have any announcements this morning?
I think I gave everybody a break last week, so now I gotta play catch up. Well, first off, there is supposed to be a prudential meeting today, and I admit that I completely forgot about it until 2 days ago. So I am not prepared to have a prudential meeting. So if the other prudential members are okay with it, we can reschedule. Okay, thank you. I apologize. On March 3rd, which is next Sunday, we're going to have our membership Sunday. Judy will be here. So we've had a lot of guests coming regularly this year, so this is their opportunity to join as full members, although as I look around, not a single one of them is here right now, so maybe I'll save this announcement for later when they're around. On February 29th, we are hosting a Leap Day potluck dinner here. So that's a Thursday evening. We'll host it at 6 p.m. It's just going to be a small informal thing with our folks. You can invite your friends and family if you like, but we felt that Leap Day doesn't come around every year, so it'd be kind of fun to get together and do something for it. Then on March 9th, that's a Saturday, the coffee house starts back up again for the spring. We have a band from Vermont called Hungry Town. They're a folk duo, so they'll be kicking off our spring season. On March 14th, we are having a Pie Day potluck. I know, 2 potlucks in 2 weeks. It's crazy. That's also a Thursday. It will also be at 6, but this one's a little bit different. First, we have a hard stop at 7 because Mike has his intuitive meditation at 7. But anybody who comes to the potluck can stay for the meditation if they want. The other thing that makes it really different is it's a bring your own plate event. So every family that comes, not every person, every family that comes will bring 1 pie. just one pie, because we don't want a million leftovers. And one plate and set of utensils and a cup for everybody in your party. And what you bring with you leaves with you so that we don't have to do dishes and take out trash and all that sort of thing. So it'll be kind of a fun. You just come with a pie and what you need to eat, and then you leave with your leftovers and your dirty dishes, and that'll be quick. Sweet or savory, doesn't matter as long as it is a pie, because it's Pie Day. So that's on March 14th, 3.14. On March 23rd is the Chinese dinner and raffle. If you have donations, you can put them in the sanctuary. Deb, do you have anything that you want to add?
I have a sign-up sheet.
Okay,
I'll leave on the coffee hour table for today.
great.
And what you're gonna do is you're gonna put your name, how many adults or children you might have. If you're coming for the raffle only, and you don't wanna come to the dinner, we just need to know how many for seating.
Right,
And then I'm gonna pay you to check it off.
okay,
And the deadline will be the Sunday before the dinner,
okay.
okay?
How much per person if you're coming to dinner?
Okay, so we have to raise the price because of,
Yes,
they raised their prices.
I understand.
It's $14 for adults. It's basically all you can eat, including beverage, desserts and everything. And $4 for children 10 and under.
Okay,
So we didn't have to go up on the price of the children or the price of the raffles because we did for the adult dinner.
okay,
Okay?
thank you. Then on March 28th, we'll have craft night again, and we might actually do a craft in our March craft night. So I think I'm caught up now. Thank you.
Any other announcements from any other committees? Deb?
I have a card I'm going to leave on the table with the sign-up sheet for the dinner. If anybody, with Carolyn August, if anybody wants to sign that, I'll send it out maybe next week.
Okay. So while you're getting coffee, don't forget to sign the card for Carolyn Norcus. Any other announcements? All right, then I will welcome to the pulpit our friend from Weymouth, Reverend Barbara Dingwall Mills.
Good morning. I know it's a chilly one, but it's a lovely one too. In a piece that I wrote for the Weymouth Church yesterday, I spoke about the angle of the sun, and I bet you've noticed it too, that although it's still chilly, that angle of the sun has come up so much that the warmth kind of takes over from the coldness of the air. Do you feel that? That it's a hopeful kind of sign? And I think Rockland is pretty much like we are in South Weymouth, with nary a sign of snow any longer. It looks like most of it has melted away. I always long for a really, really good nor'easter or at least a snowstorm every single year. Again, I did not get it. Much to my chagrin and much to my husband's joy, but I miss it. I miss those wonderful days of real cold and being, do you remember as a kid being able to go outside and play in the snow for hours and hours? I remember one time my younger sister, who will never, ever let me forget this, my friend and I were outside with her, again, not my choice. And she was probably being a pain because she's 5 years younger. And we built her a snow castle. We were probably about 10, 11. She was probably about 5 or 6. And I remember saying to her, Bev, I'll be back. We're just going inside to warm up for a minute. Okay. Well, we got inside. My mother, and as a child, had this beautiful hot chocolate pot and little cups that went with it. And my mother said, oh, you two look so cold. Let me make you hot chocolate. And so she did, and she brought out cookies. So for at least half an hour, we sat there and had hot chocolate and cookies. And Finally, my mother, she had 4 kids, but it must have dawned on her that the youngest one was nowhere to be found. And I remember her saying, "Where's your sister?" And we said, "Oh, we left her out in the snow fort." And she was not the happiest mother at that moment. And she made us go outside and bring my sister in, who to this day will tell you that she got frostbite. She did not, but she's absolutely fine. But I can remember when we'd be skiing, everyone would be saying, "Oh, our hands are so cold." She said, "Oh, mine are much worse because I got frostbite when I was 5. She did not get frostbite. So I hearken back to those days. It was so much fun. And, I miss them for my granddaughters because, once again, they didn't get to go sledding. And they're out in Holliston, so they get a little bit more snow, but not much more. And so maybe next year, I will look forward to 2000, and can you believe 25, with the hope that maybe there will be a really, really good snowstorm. I know that probably alienates me from a lot of you. I can see the daggers, like, no, no, no. And perhaps we're done by now because it's almost March. So I'm ready for that also. And I love the idea of your Pi Day. That's a lovely thing. Someone asked me one time, "Why don't you do something special for the Ides of March?" I said, no, 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 that was not a good day. Pi Day is fine, so that's legitimate.
Carve your own Caesar salad.
I'm sorry?
Carve your own Caesar salad.
That's right, carve your own Caesar salad, that's right, seize the dish. Yeah. So I ask you now to just join with me in being grateful for what we have here in this lovely, lovely space. That will be my ingathering prayer this morning. I love my Weymouth church, but if you asked me to pick a second one, it would be this church. I love to see all of your faces as you come in. Everyone looks comfortable. Everyone looks happy. Everyone looks glad to be here. And what a lovely thing to be able to say about people coming into a church, that everyone looks as though they are meant to be here. And that's a nice thing. And it's a wonderful thing to see from this side. Rick, shall we light our chalice now? And would you join with me in saying our words that are in your order of service? Stand as you are able and willing as we do so.
Kindling this flame
Of our liberal heritage in our chalice of community, let us open to the presence of the sacred. Would you join with me also in saying our affirmation? Love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. Thank you, Rick. And our opening hymn is number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song. Please stand as you are able and willing, and join us in singing hymn number 108 as Maddie the Magnificent plays for us. I know it is. No pressure whatsoever, Maddie. Not true. Please be seated. Thank you, Maddie. And now is the time for lighting of our candles of joy and concern. If you would like to let Rick know of a joy, he will light a candle for you and we will share tenfold in your joys. If it is a concern that you would like to share, please let Rick know that also, and we will hopefully lessen your burden.
And if it's your birthday, we will only light one. I don't have enough for some of us here. Do it.
Yesterday morning, one of the Girl Scout troops that meets here asked if they could have a special day to come in and use our kitchen because they were going to teach the girls to cook to earn their cooking badge. So I volunteered to be the representative of the church to make sure they didn't set the building on fire. And in exchange, they fed me breakfast and gave me lunch. That was really nice.
That is a joy.
For sci-fi novel.
Two candles, one for my sister Bonnie and one for Carolyn.
Jess?
I was just thinking, it probably light a candle for the people of Ukraine. We've come upon 2 years, I think, since the beginning of the conflict there, and things do look dire for them. I worry tremendously for all of them.
I'm the white one for the people in Rafa right now. I'll light one more for all those joys and concerns we carry with us. For whatever reason, I'm not ready to share.
Thank you, Rick. With all those joys and concerns in mind, I ask you now to put yourself in a mood of meditation and/or prayer, to close your eyes, to snuggle your butt into the hard wooden chairs, We have cushioned pews in Weymouth, just have to say. And I ask you to join with me in a moment of prayer, being always grateful, always aware of the fortunate lives that most of us lead, and always aware that there are others who do not have those comforts, and that even we, in our comfortable lives, have moments of sorrow, moments of worry, moments of loneliness, moments of sadness, moments of despair. By acknowledging those, I think it helps us to realize the frailties that we face, yet also the joys that are open to us in so many places. Please take a few moments, and then we will sing together, Spirit of Life. And now that we have fed our souls for a moment, it is time to feed the coffers. Please be generous. Please stand as you are able and willing, and join us in saying our words for the dedication of gifts. Spirit of truth, of light and power, we bring ourselves as gifts to thee. O bind our hearts this sacred hour in faith and hope and charity, And now we will sing it because I forgot that you people sing that one. So let's do it again. Oh, I know which one will win. Well, hands down, that one. Thank you, Maddie. My sermon this morning is not Love Actually. If I told you that, Rick, which I probably did. Oh, okay, good. It wasn't me. Okay, it could be. It could have been. But it's actually called Little Women. So hopefully a lot of you are cognizant of that book. We read it as a book club book in Weymouth, and some people had never read it. It's always been one of my favorites. So today you're going to hear about it. In the classic American novel, Little Women, we meet the four, quote unquote, little women, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. While they are, of course, sisters, they are more than that. Each is a loving and devoted daughter to Marmee and father, yet each unique. I will segue here for a second. When my daughter was young and we saw the movie, for at least a year, she insisted on calling me Marmee. She does not any longer, but I loved it. While the language may seem somewhat stilted and flowery at times, and the format formal and occasionally austere, we must remember that this book was written in 1865 at a time when women could not vote, at least in national elections, nor could they own or inherit property in most counties or states. Formal education was not afforded to most of the female gender, nor would it have been helpful in most cases if it were, as women were not allowed to enter most professions, and certainly not if they ever chose to marry or have children. There was no financial support for families left behind when a husband and or a father went off to war, and no legitimate way for a woman and mother to earn a decent living. On September 30th, 1868, when the novel Little Women was first published, its author, Louisa May Alcott, had already been published, yet this new novel quickly rose to acclaim, selling initially 2,000 copies in just a few days. If, when you read the book, you felt as though the book was almost in the form of a drama, divided as it appears into separate acts, you are partially correct. The original publication contained just the first 23 chapters. It is there that the author says, so grouped, the curtain falls upon Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. Whether it ever rises again depends upon the reception given to the first act of this domestic drama called Little Women. I never knew that. I think it's a wonderful thing that she put it out to her audience. In other words, if you like it, more will come. If you don't, then I am done, is what she said later. Now, after the first act, as it came to be known, was a clear success, Alcott's publisher begged her to write more about the four young girls. The second section completed the book, about which her publisher, Harriet Ryson, said, spinning out her fantasies on paper, Louisa was transported and liberated. Her imagination freed her to escape the confines of ordinary life, to be flirtatious, scheming, materialistic, violent, rich, worldly, or a different gender. Although this novel has long been touted as a girl's book, Teddy Roosevelt, a man's man, if ever there was one, said that he worshiped Little Women, as well as its sequel, Little Men. Many readers have stated that their lives were shaped, or rather reshaped, by the reading of Little Women, as it cast illumination on 4 different girls and showed to readers that womanhood isn't something you were born with, but rather something you learn and eventually grow into. You have the ability to pick and choose which parts of it you want, states Anne Rue in her book, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. But I often wonder if Jo had that choice in 1868. Gloria Steinem, Helen Keller, Hillary Rodham Clinton, and Gertrude Stein all felt they owed a debt of gratitude to Louisa May Alcott, as she prepared ground for them that few women, little or otherwise, had dared trod prior. After Little Women was published, strangers visited her home, called Orchard House, now a museum in Concord, Massachusetts, to laud her with acclaim. When she died, the New York Times said in their tribute to Alcott that little in her writings did not grow out of something that had actually occurred, and yet it is so colored with her imagination that it represents the universal life of childhood and youth. Call it what you will, a coming-of-age book for young women, a guidebook for girls, bless you, entering adulthood, or a feminist manifesto. Little Women is a novel that has transcended 150 plus years of scrutinization. So to answer my previous question, no, Jo did not have the ability to pick and choose which parts of womanhood she wanted to employ or enjoy. In the early part of the novel, we see the young girls each with assets and flaws that make them seem real yet vulnerable. Meg is beautiful yet vain and dreams of becoming rich. Jo is a talented writer yet stubborn and pig-headed, with hopes of becoming an accomplished writer someday. Beth is timid and sweet. Amy, selfish and leans on her cuteness to get what she wants. As the novel's second act is revealed, we see that none of the Little Women get what she had once believed would make her happy. Meg married a poor man, and they live a life of financial poverty. Jo gives up writing. Beth succumbs to illness and dies. Amy abandons her dreams of being an artist. Even Marmee, long-suffering and overworked all of her life, finally concedes, I am angry nearly every day of my life, Jo, but I have learned not to show it. Was this vehement and bitterly honest statement from Marmee made because of the few and limited choices that women had in the latter part of the 19th century? Being human has never been easy, no matter the sex. Being a woman has been harder still. While it is true that since this novel was penned over 150 years ago, many strides have been made to make women's lives better and their worth more acknowledged, but it has been a hard-earned and hard-fought war. When I was a young girl at Weymouth High School, there were 2 tracks of learning into which a female could enter. We had to decide in 10th grade, at the tender age of 14 or 15, whether we wanted to pursue a college education or become a bookkeeper or a secretary. If it were the former, we would apply to a 4-year college to become a teacher or go to a 3-year nursing program affiliated with a local or Boston hospital and graduate as a registered nurse. If business were our choice, we would take shorthand, typing, and head on off upon graduation to Katie Gibbs or Fisher Junior College to complete our finishing of our secretarial skills. Even as young as I was, I could never understand why a girl hoping to attend college was forbidden to take a typing course in high school, yet was expected to be able to type papers in college, or to take a course called mechanical drawing, as it was limited to only boys who might wish to pursue a career in engineering. My father won a fight with Weymouth High School, and I guess Weymouth Public Schools, so that I could be the first girl ever to take mechanical drawing. He was a civil engineer, and he wasn't going to give up easily. So as a father of 4 girls, he fought, and I won, and I got an A. Girls entering business school could never expect to be considered for executive positions in companies, even though their skills in management and organization often far exceeded those of their male counterparts given authority over them and paid at least double or triple their salaries. While this smacks of the hit series Mad Men, mentality, don't even get me started on the want ad section of every newspaper back then, in which jobs were separated not by abilities or skill sets, but by gender. In the 1970s and 80s, feminists appreciated Alcort's portrayal of the young girls in her book, yet somewhat condescendingly referred to it as a learned conduct rather than innate behavior. For many ardent women of that time, the thought that women, little or grown, might want to remain at home with their parents, as did Beth, or become a wife and mother, as was Meg's intent, was forged from misguided and antiquated thought imposed upon them by men who wanted nothing more than to keep women under their thumbs. While there is merit to this concept, there is also falsity. What if a woman does choose to be at home with her children if her economic status allows? What if a man chooses to do so? What if caring for one's parents as they age were a noble cause for any offspring? What if one's choices were not so limiting and the effects of those choices were not for life? The 4 young girls, spiraling toward adulthood and in the midst of becoming Little Women in the novel, are still females to be admired in my book. There's merit in Meg's aspirations to better her financial status and understanding to be heaped upon a young girl such as Beth, who struggles so with her timidity. An aspiring artist should be encouraged, as Amy is by her parents, and certainly a headstrong and forceful young woman like Jo should be acknowledged and appreciated. Marmee is not wrong, yet neither is Gloria Steinem or Hillary Rodham Clinton. Meg is correct when she laments her position or lack thereof in conquered society, stating bitterly, "People don't have fortunes left them in that style nowadays. Men have to work and women to marry for money. It's a dreadfully unjust world." When Jo learns that her older sister Meg has a suitor, Jo is despondent when she says, "Let's send him about his business and not tell Meg a word of it, but all be happy together as we've always been." Marmee's response, "It is natural and right. You should all go to homes of your own in time. But I do want to keep my girls as long as I can, and I'm sorry that this happens so soon." Has this not been a parent's lament forever? As parents, we raise our children to become capable and loving human beings, no matter the gender, fluid or not. And then we are surprised and saddened when they fly the coop. It is the duty and the responsibilities of the older generation, mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, grandparents, to nurture the nature of the next generation, to prepare them for whatever is to come. With forethought and planning, let it be that all of us get to choose our own life's path and become whatever it is into which we wish to evolve. Would that no little girl ever cry out again, as did Jo to Laurie when he asked her to run away with him. "If I was a boy, we'd run away together and have a capital time. But as I'm a miserable girl, I must be proper and stop at home. Don't tempt me, Teddy. It's a crazy plan." I pray for a future when crazy ideas and plans are allowed to flourish and given credence and considered sensible and worth the thought, regardless of from whose mouth they fly. Amen. Our closing hymn is number 211, We Are Climbing Jacob's Ladder. And wait until you hear Maddie play this. Top notch. 211, please stand as you are willing and able. As Rick extinguishes our chalice, please join with me in saying the words in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, or the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. May the joy that you found here today carry with you for the remainder of this week. Hopefully you will be back here in these chairs next week, and I look forward to seeing you another time soon. Blessed be. Please be seated while Maddie regales us. Isn't that the sweetest? You should be in a lounge somewhere. Good.